Captain Maria Reynolds stood at the bridge of the colony ship Earthrise, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed their position in this unexplored sector of space. The ship's massive engines hummed beneath her feet, a constant reminder of the 4,000 colonists in cryosleep below decks, all dreaming of their new home. Anomalous energy reading at Mark 247. Lieutenant Park called out from his station. "It's unlike anything in our database, Captain." Maria was about to respond when the ship's AI cut through the bridge's ambient noise. Multiple objects approaching at FTL speeds. Configuration unknown. Impact in 30 seconds. The bridge crew scrambled to battle stations, but Maria knew their weapons were ceremonial at best. The Earthrise was a colony ship, not a warship. They had never expected to encounter advanced alien life on their journey to the Outer Rim. The first impact rocked the ship like a toy in a storm. Through the viewscreen, Maria watched in horror as sleek, predatory vessels emerged from hyperspace. Their design was all sharp angles and gleaming metal, like the teeth of some cosmic apex predator. "This is Captain Reynolds of the Earth colony ship Earthrise," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are a peaceful vessel." The response came in perfect English, but the voice carried an undertone that made her skin crawl. "We are the Cardthal, and you have entered our hunting grounds. Your species is unknown to us, but your vessel's primitive design and lack of meaningful defenses marks you as prey. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will make the hunt more entertaining." The next few hours became a nightmare of screaming metal and running battles through the ship's corridors. The Cardthal were everything humanity had ever feared about first contact. 9-foot-tall warriors in biomechanical armor, armed with weapons that could vaporize a human with a single shot. But something strange happened as the battle progressed. The Cardthal's perfect hunting formation began to fall apart as the surviving humans adapted. Engineering teams flooded sections with superheated steam that their environmental suits could handle, but which played havoc with the Cardthal's temperature-sensitive armor. Security officers led the aliens into maintenance shafts designed for human dimensions, then collapsed the tubes behind them. Vectrell, supreme hunter of the Cardthal fleet, watched through his neural link as his warriors failed again and again to corner what should have been easy prey. These humans were physically inferior in every way. Slower, weaker, with no natural weapons to speak of. Yet they'd fought with an intensity that bordered on madness, using their environment in ways that defied hunter logic. "Fall back to hunting pattern Delta," he commanded his warriors. "Herd them toward the primary hull breach. No prey can survive hard vacuum." But when his forces reached the breach, they found it sealed with a makeshift patch that should never have held against space, yet somehow did. And in the time it took them to analyze this impossibility, half the surviving humans had already evacuated to the emergency pods, using trajectories so reckless that the Cardthal ship's targeting systems couldn't track them. Maria was among the last to leave the Earthrise, setting the ship's reactor to overload as she ran for the final pod. As she strapped in, she heard the Cardthal's supreme hunter's voice one last time. "You fight with unusual vigor for prey. Perhaps we will keep some of you alive to study this anomaly." "We're not your prey," Maria responded, punching in the launch codes. "And you're about to learn why." The Earthrise's reactor detonation caught 3 Cardthal ships in its blast radius, not enough to cripple their fleet, but more than enough to shatter their belief in an easy hunt. As the escape pods scattered into the darkness, using maneuvers that no sane pilot would attempt, Vectrell added a note to his hunt log. "Species shows unusual resistance to standard hunting methods. Origin world unknown, but must be investigated. These humans are either blessed by fortune or something far more interesting." Dr. Amanda Brooks hadn't slept in 36 hours, but the data on her screens kept her wide awake. The makeshift laboratory in the depths of Colony Outpost Sierra was little more than a repurposed mining chamber, But it contained something precious, the largest collection of car-full biology samples in human space. Run the environmental comparison again, she told her lab's eye. Focus on atmospheric tolerance ranges. The results were the same as the last dozen times, but they still made no sense. The car-full's cellular structure suggested they evolved in perfect conditions. No extreme temperature variations, no toxic elements, no dangerous radiation. Their bodies were marvels of evolution, yet paradoxically fragile. A distant explosion rocked the chamber. Another hunt had begun. Dr. Brooks, the colony AI announced, emergency council meeting in 5 minutes. They've lost contact with New Washington colony. The council chamber was really just another mining cavity, enlarged and fitted with salvage screens. Admiral James Chen, former captain of the now-destroyed Defense Fleet, led the meeting. New Washington makes 5 colonies gone dark this month. We're running out of places to hide. Then we stop hiding, Dr. Brooks interrupted, drawing surprised looks. She pulled up her data on the main display. Look at where we're surviving longest. Every colony that's still standing is in what the car-full consider death zones, regions they won't even try to settle. She highlighted a series of environmental readings. New Washington fell because it was on a paradise world, exactly the kind of planet the car-full evolved on. But our colony on Venus II, with its acid storms, still standing. The underground base on Pressure 6, not even scratched. Admiral Chen leaned forward. What are you suggesting? I've been monitoring their communications, she said, bringing up a new display. They call their homeworld the cradle of perfect evolution. No seasons, no natural disasters, no environmental pressures. They developed technology to cope with harsh conditions instead of adapting to them. Another explosion, closer this time. The colony's AI spoke. Car-full dropships detected in Sector 7. They found us. But Dr. Brooks was smiling now, an expression that worried her colleagues more than the explosions. Let them come. This colony is built in a volcanic caldera. The average temperature outside is high enough to cook their precious bioarmor. We can't hold them off forever, someone protested. We don't need to, she said, pulling up one final image. A geological survey of Earth. I've compared every survival report from every colony. The places where we're winning, they're all like Earth. The volcanic colony survives because we evolved on a planet with volcanoes. The high-pressure base endures because Earth's gravity made us tough. We're not just surviving by luck. The chamber shook again, and warning lights flashed. The AI's voice was urgent. Multiple hull breaches. Car-full forces approaching central chambers. Admiral Chen made a quick decision. Doctor, take your data and get to the emergency shuttle. Head for the Pressure 6 base. They need to know what you found. As if to prove her theory, the car-full assault faltered as soon as they breached the colony's outer shell. Their advanced armor, designed for perfect conditions, began to fail in the extreme heat. Warriors collapsed as their environmental systems overloaded. Dr. Brooks watched from her shuttle as the colony's defenders, protected by simple heat-resistant suits based on old Earth designs, pushed back against the galaxy's supreme hunters. She transmitted one final message before jumping to safety. The car-full evolved to be perfect hunters, but they did it in a perfect world. We evolved on Earth, and Earth doesn't believe in perfect. It believes in adaptation. Now we just have to remember what our homeworld taught us. In his command ship, Vectrell received reports of another failed hunt. These humans were turning every hostile environment into a weapon. Soon, he would have to admit something no supreme hunter had ever confessed. They had found prey that refused to be hunted. The Pressure 6 base's main chamber was packed with colonial military leaders, all eyes fixed on Dr. Brooks's presentation. The base, built to withstand crushing atmospheric pressure that would flatten most structures, groaned around them like a living thing. "Earth isn't just where we're from," Dr. Brooks said, manipulating the holographic display. "It's the key to understanding why we're surviving." She brought up a comparison of planetary conditions. "Look at the Carthol homeworld. Perfect temperature range, no tectonic activity, stable atmosphere. Now, look at Earth." The display showed Earth's violent history: ice ages, massive volcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, radical climate shifts. Our planet should be a death world by their standards. Instead, it created us. A young Marine named Sarah Martinez interrupted, her face still scared from a recent battle. 2 days ago, I survived an acid rain that melted 3 Carthol warriors. Their armor just dissolved. But my standard issue environment suit held. Exactly, Dr. Brooks pointed to Martinez. Their tech is more advanced, but it's built on the assumption that the environment should be controlled, not endured. Our equipment is cruder, but it's based on millions of years of adapting to Earth's worst conditions. Admiral Chen, who had escaped the fall of Sierra Colony with Dr. Brooks, stepped forward. "We've been fighting like we're the weaker species, but what if we're not? What if Earth made us the most dangerous species in the galaxy?" The chamber erupted in discussion until a new voice cut through the chaos. "I can prove it." Everyone turned to see a massive screen showing a live feed from the colony on Augustus Prime. The speaker was Colonel Jack Morrison, his image occasionally distorted by the planet's intense magnetic fields. "We just repelled a Carthol attack using Earth tactics," Morrison continued. "No fancy tech, no space-age weapons. We used pit traps like ancient humans used to hunt mammoths. We created mud bogs that their heavy armor couldn't handle. We even used simple rope snares, their armor so rigid they couldn't break free." Dr. Brooks nodded enthusiastically. Their evolution never prepared them for Earth-style problems. They're like an apex predator that evolved without any competition, perfect for their environment but unable to handle new challenges. "But that's not all," Morrison added. "We found something in their combat data. Their warriors are enhanced with cybernetics because their natural bodies are too specialized. They need tech to survive anywhere outside their comfort zone. Meanwhile, unaugmented humans are surviving in conditions that their best tech can't handle." The display shifted to show footage of recent battles. Carthol warriors struggling in high gravity, while humans moved freely. Elite hunters failing to navigate dense jungles that Earth-trained soldiers crossed with ease. Advanced armor systems shutting down in conditions that basic human environmental suits could withstand. "Earth threw everything it had at our ancestors," Dr. Brooks concluded. "Ice ages. We adapted. Predators. We outthought them. Natural disasters. We learned to predict and survive them. The Carthol never had to adapt because their world never challenged them. They built technology to avoid adaptation. We built technology to enhance our natural adaptability." Admiral Chen made a decision. "From now on, we stop running. Every colony begins converting to Earth-based defense strategies. Use every harsh environment to our advantage. Show these perfect hunters what it means to evolve on a world that tries to kill you every day." As the meeting ended, Dr. Brooks received an encrypted message from a deep space probe. Her eyes widened as she read it. The Carthol homeworld's location had been found, and the data confirmed everything. A paradise planet that had created the galaxy's most advanced predators, and their greatest weakness. In the depths of space, Vectrel reviewed reports of failed hunts with growing concern. These humans were not just surviving now. They were beginning to hunt back. For the first time in Carthol history, the prey was becoming the predator. Colonel Jack Morrison stood in the rain on New Montana, letting the acidic droplets roll off his modified environment suit. Around him, a dozen Special Forces operators waited in perfect stillness, their camouflage patterns shifting to match the toxic landscape. They were no longer playing by Carthol rules. This was Earth-style hunting. "Contact," whispered Lieutenant Rodriguez through the comm. "Carthol Hunter Pack, moving just like you said they would, following the same search pattern they always use." Morrison allowed himself a grim smile. The Carthol's predictability was their greatest weakness. Execute Project Terrestrial. Show them what Earth's apex predators can do. The trap was simple, inspired by the web of a golden orb spider. Monofilaments, nearly invisible and stronger than steel, created a three-dimensional maze throughout the valley. The Carthol's rigid battle formation would force them right into it. "Remember," Morrison transmitted to his team, "we're not fighting like soldiers anymore. We're fighting like Earth made us. Adaptable, unpredictable, and absolutely relentless." The first sign that something was wrong came when the lead Carthol scout's armor began to corrode. The acid rain, harmless to their Earth-tested equipment, was eating through the aliens' superior technology. As the hunter pack tried to regroup, they stumbled right into the web. Like moths in a spider's trap, Rodriguez commented, watching through her scope as the 9-foot warriors became entangled. Their struggles only made the web tighter, their perfect armor now a perfect prison. Morrison keyed his comm. Phase 2. From hidden positions, his team began their attack. They moved like Earth's pack hunters, wolves taking down larger prey through coordination and endurance. The Carthol's advanced weapons were useless against targets they couldn't track, couldn't predict, and couldn't understand. "This is impossible," the Carthol pack leader roared in frustration. "You are prey. You cannot hunt the hunters." Morrison's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, another trick learned from Earth's predators. "We're not prey. We're what happens when a species survives everything a death world can throw at it. Earth didn't make us prey. It made us into something far more dangerous." The battle was over in minutes. For the first time in recorded history, an entire Carthol hunter pack was captured alive. As his team secured the prisoners, Morrison received an urgent communication from Dr. Brooks. "The data from their armor is incredible," she said, her excitement clear even through the static. "Their whole strategy is based on the assumption that prey species follow predictable patterns. They've never encountered anyone who adapts as fast as we do. Send this data to all colonies," Morrison ordered. "It's time everyone knew that Earth tactics work. Have you seen the reports from other bases?" "Yes, the Alpine colony used mountain warfare techniques from the Himalayas. The desert base adapted Bedouin survival strategies. Everyone's remembering what Earth taught us." A message from Admiral Chen interrupted their conversation. "Colonel, your success has been noted. Project Terrestrial is now our primary defense strategy. All colonies are converting to Earth-based tactics. We're no longer fighting for survival. We're fighting to win." Morrison watched as his team led the captured Carthol to their transport. The once proud hunters seemed smaller now, their perfect armor defeated by simple tools inspired by Earth's web-spinning spiders. "Send a message to all commands," he told his communications officer. "Tell them, the beast has awakened. Earth taught us how to hunt. Now, let's show the galaxy what we can do." In his fleet's command center, Vectrell received news of the lost hunter pack with growing dread. These humans had done more than survive. They had learned to turn the hunt against its masters. As he watched more reports flow in of failed hunts and lost warriors, he realized a terrible truth. They had awakened something that should have stayed sleeping. Earth's true children, the ultimate survivors. The ice world of Novaya was considered uninhabitable by Carthol standards. Its surface locked in eternal winter with temperatures that could freeze advanced technology solid, which was exactly why Hannah Williams, former Arctic Research Station commander, had chosen it for her colony. "They're making another push," her second-in-command reported, watching through thermal scopes as Carvel dropships descended through the blizzard. 3 hunter packs this time. They're getting desperate. Hannah adjusted her parka, a design based on traditional Inuit clothing rather than modern space gear. Let them come. The storm will do half our work for us. The Carvel had finally learned to fear human ingenuity, approaching with uncharacteristic caution. Their normally pristine armor was heavily modified, covered in heating units that glowed against the white landscape like beacons to human eyes. All units, execute Ice Walker protocol, Hannah commanded through the comm. Around the colony, figures in white moved like ghosts through the storm, their movements based on centuries of Arctic survival techniques. The first Carvel pack found only empty buildings. The colony appeared abandoned. Then the ice began to crack beneath their feet. The humans had spent months studying the glacier's structure, creating a network of artificial faults that could be triggered on command. Your technology is impressive. Hannah's voice echoed through the storm. But Earth taught us how to live in the cold before we had technology. Welcome to our Ice Age. Simultaneously, on the mining colony of Deep Core 6, another battle was unfolding. Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez led his team through maintenance shafts as Carvel warriors tried to navigate the cramped tunnels built for human dimensions. Their armor's too rigid, he reported to command. They can't bend like we can. Can't squeeze through the tight spots, just like Earth's cave systems taught us. The Carvel's frustrated roars echoed through the tunnels as humans seemed to disappear into impossibly small spaces, only to emerge behind their lines. Every attempt to corner the defenders led to another ambush, another humiliation. Vectrell watched the battle feeds with growing horror. His best warriors were being outmaneuvered by prey that seemed to thrive in conditions that should kill them. Reports flooded in from across human space. A colony in the magnetic storm belt using the disruption to their advantage, their simple analog backup systems working, while Carvel tech failed. A settlement in the high-gravity zone moving with impossible speed, while hunters could barely stand. Everywhere, the Carvel turned. Humans were using their Death World experience to turn the hunt against them. On the bridge of his command ship, Vectrell received a direct communication from the colony on Novaya. Hannah Williams's face appeared on his screen, frost rimming her hood as she stood in the open air that would kill an unprotected Carvel in minutes. "We've captured your entire hunter pack," she said without preamble. "They're alive, but only because we knew how to save them from their own mistakes. Your perfect evolution never prepared you for real survival." Vectrell's mandibles clicked in agitation. "You cannot win this war. We have superior numbers, superior technology. But you don't have Earth," she interrupted. "You never had to evolve through an ice age, never had to adapt to rapid climate change, never had to become something more than your environment demanded. We did. Every time you push us, we get stronger. Every time you hunt us, we learn to hunt better." The communication ended, leaving Vectrell to consider a devastating reality. These humans weren't just surviving anymore. They were teaching the galaxy's greatest hunters what it meant to be prey. Dr. Brooks, monitoring the battles from the safety of command, added a new note to her research. Earth didn't just make us strong. It made us impossible to predict. The Carvel's greatest weakness isn't their technology or their evolution. It's their inability to understand that true strength comes from overcoming adversity, not avoiding it. The hunt had changed, and the hunters were finally learning to fear. New Terra's Defense Command Center shook as another Carvel warship entered orbit. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction as the largest hunter fleet ever assembled filled the sky. They'd taken the bait. "All colony leaders, report in," he ordered. The screens lit up with familiar faces. Hannah Williams from the Ice Colony, Marcus Rodriguez from Deep Core, Colonel Morrison from Special Operations, and Dr. Brooks, now head of Earth Combat Integration. They'd brought everything, Dr. Brooks observed, her eyes scanning the sensor data. 7 major fleet groups, over 300 hunter packs. Vectrel is throwing their entire hunting force at us. Morrison's face showed a predatory smile. Perfect. Just like Earth taught us. The bigger they are. Execute Operation Earthfall. Admiral Chen commanded. Show them what happens when you corner Earth's children. The Karthul attack began with overwhelming force, dropships darkening the sky like metal rain. Vectrel, leading from the front for the first time in his career, watched with satisfaction as his warriors descended on the human capital. The first surprise came when the landing zones, seemingly solid ground, began to shift and flow. The humans had spent months preparing the terrain, creating vast fields of engineered quicksand based on Earth's natural hazards. Entire hunter packs vanished into the Earth before they could even fire a shot. Impossible, Vectrel roared. Redirect to secondary landing zones. But the secondary zones held their own surprises. Massive electromagnetic pulses, based on Earth's lightning storms, but amplified and controlled, turned the most advanced Karthul battle armor into useless metal shells. Warriors who had never known fear found themselves trapped in their own protection. Colonel Morrison's voice echoed across all frequencies. Welcome to Earth warfare. Let's see how your perfect evolution handles this. The sky darkened as artificial storm systems, developed from Earth weather control technology, created a nightmare battleground. Acid rain ate through Karthul ships, while hurricane-force winds turned their precise formation into chaos. They're adapting. A Karthul commander reported in panic. Every time we counter one strategy, they switch to another. Dr. Brooks watched from command as the battle unfolded. They still don't understand. We're not using individual strategies. We're using Earth's entire playbook. Every natural disaster, every survival scenario, every adaptation our planet forced us to make. The Karthul's rigid battle formations shattered against human defenses that seemed to change like the weather itself. Underground teams emerged from hidden tunnels, using cave fighting techniques perfected over centuries. Arctic warfare specialists created zones of killing cold that froze alien technology solid. Desert combat groups used sandstorm tactics that blind and disorient. Vectrel watched in horror as his perfect hunt dissolved into chaos. Fall back. Regroup at high orbit. But the space above New Terra had its own surprises. Human ships, small and agile, swarmed the Karthul fleet like piranha, using pack hunting tactics that turned the hunter's size against them. Each human victory seemed to make them stronger, more confident, more deadly. Do you understand now? Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Earth didn't just give us a home. It gave us everything we needed to survive anything the galaxy could throw at us, including you. As the last Karthul ships retreated in disarray, Dr. Brooks added a final note to her research. Today, we proved what Earth has been teaching us for millions of years. True dominance isn't about being the strongest or most advanced. It's about being able to adapt, to overcome, to turn every challenge into an advantage. Vectrel, watching his mighty fleet flee from what he'd once considered mere prey, finally asked the question that would haunt his species forever. What kind of world created these humans? What kind of planet forges its children in such fire? The answer, of course, was Earth, and its lessons were just beginning to be heard across the stars. Dr. Amanda Brooks stood before the combined council of human colonies, her hand steady as she manipulated the holographic display. The room was packed with military leaders, scientists, and colonial representatives, all eager to understand the full scope of her latest discovery. After the Battle of New Terra, we gained access to the Karthul's complete star charts, she began. What we found was extraordinary. The display showed a map of known space, with worlds marked in different colors. Out of over 10,000 surveyed planets, only 27 have produced intelligent life. And only one, Earth, shows the characteristics we're now calling the crucible effect. Admiral Chen leaned forward. Explain. Most life-bearing worlds are like the Carthol homeworld. Stable, predictable, safe. Their species evolved to fill specific niches and stay there. But Earth, she zoomed in on their home planet. Earth is different. It's located in what we're calling a perfect storm of galactic forces. The display highlighted various factors: Earth's position in the galaxy, its unique moon, its orbital characteristics, its geological activity. Our planet has the perfect balance of stability and chaos. Stable enough for complex life to evolve, but chaotic enough to force constant adaptation. Colonel Morrison, still bearing fresh scars from the New Terra battle, spoke up. You're saying Earth is special even among life-bearing worlds? More than special, Dr. Brooks replied. It's unique. The Carthol database shows that most species can be classified as specialists, perfectly adapted to their specific environment. But Earth created generalists. Us, we're the only known species that treats adaptation not as a one-time event, but as a continuous process. She brought up footage from their recent victories. Look at how we fight. The Carthol use perfect, specialized tactics. We use everything. Adapt constantly. Learn from every defeat. They evolved to be perfect. We evolved to be perfectible. The room erupted in discussion until Hannah Williams' voice cut through the noise. The Ice Age, she said simply. That's when it started, wasn't it? Dr. Brooks nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. While other worlds had species that either died out or stayed the same when faced with climate change, Earth's ice ages forced our ancestors to become something new. We didn't just survive the Ice Age. We learned from it. Every major challenge in Earth's history didn't just select for survival. It selected for adaptability. New data flowed across the display. Complex mathematical models showing the probability of Earth's unique conditions. The chances of a planet creating our kind of evolution are so small that most species assumed it was impossible. The Carthol thought they were the peak of evolution because they'd never encountered anyone from a world like ours. And now, Admiral Chen asked. Now they know better. Their entire society is in crisis. Their perfect evolution has become their greatest weakness. They can't adapt fast enough to keep up with us. Can't change their tactics quick enough to counter ours. Every battle makes us stronger while they stay the same. A message interrupted the presentation. High priority from the fleet. The Carthol had sent an unexpected communication. Their Supreme Council, for the first time in their history, was requesting a diplomatic meeting. Dr. Brooks smiled. They're finally learning. Maybe not fast enough to save their empire, but enough to know that fighting us is like fighting Earth itself. An exercise in futility. As the council debated how to respond, she added one final note to her research. Earth didn't just make us strong. It made us unstoppable. Not because we're perfect, but because we never stop trying to be better. In a galaxy of specialists, we're the ultimate generalists. Ready for anything, adapted to everything, and always learning. The stars had witnessed many perfect species rise and fall, but perhaps the galaxy was ready for something different. A species that saw imperfection as an advantage and change as the only constant worth mastering. The meeting location had been chosen with deliberate symbolism. Earth itself, more specifically, the highest peak of the Himalayas, where the air was thin and the environment hostile. Colonel Morrison watched as the Carthol diplomatic vessel struggled to land in the high-altitude winds, its advanced technology fighting against Earth's natural challenges. Vectrel, supreme hunter of the Carthol, emerged from his ship in heavily modified environmental armor. Even with all their technology, he visibly struggled under Earth's higher gravity. Morrison, standing comfortably in simple cold weather gear, allowed himself a small smile. "Welcome to Earth," he said simply. "Not what you expected." The Cardfall leader's mandibles clicked in what Morrison had learned was a sign of respect. "Your world. It is unlike anything in our records. The gravity alone would kill an unprotected Cardfall in hours. How do you bear it?" "We don't just bear it," Dr. Brooks said, approaching from the research station. "We were made by it. Every challenge your species avoided through technology, Earth forced us to face head-on." They led Vectrell inside the station, where displays showed Earth's history, natural disasters, climate changes, mass extinctions, and the life that adapted to survive it all. The Cardfall leader watched in silent awe. "Our scientists have been studying your world's data," Vectrell finally said. "They refuse to believe it's natural. The combination of conditions, the perfect balance of chaos and stability. That's why we won," Admiral Chen interjected, joining them. "Not because we're stronger or smarter, but because Earth never let us believe we were perfect. Every time we mastered one challenge, it presented another." Vectrell's next words shocked them all. "We request permission to send students to Earth, not warriors or hunters, but learners. Our species, we see now that our perfect evolution has become our prison." Dr. Brooks exchanged glances with the others. This was unprecedented. The mighty Cardfall asking to learn from what they'd once considered prey. But it made perfect sense. Earth's lessons weren't just for humans. They were universal truths about survival and adaptation. "On one condition," Morrison said, "you must experience Earth as we did. No advanced tech, no perfect solutions. Face the world that made us what we are." To their surprise, Vectrell removed his helmet, immediately gasping in Earth's thin air. "Like this?" He wheezed, fighting to stand under the greater gravity. "We must learn to adapt." That moment would be recorded in both species' histories. The day the galaxy's greatest hunters chose to become students again. The diplomatic treaties that followed would reshape the power structure of known space, but the real change was more fundamental. Within a year, the first Cardfall learning enclaves were established on Earth. Young hunters traded their advanced armor for simple tools, learning to survive in environments their ancestors had dismissed as impossible. Some failed, many struggled, but those who persevered began to change. Dr. Brooks's final research paper, The Earth Protocol, became the foundation for a new understanding of species development. Earth was designated as a protected world, not just for its resources or location, but as a living laboratory of evolution itself. "We were wrong about strength," Vectrell admitted in the last meeting before returning to his people. "We thought it meant never having to change. Your world taught us that true strength is the ability to change when you must." Morrison watched the Cardfall ship depart, standing in a light rain that would have once sent their warriors running for cover. "Think they'll make it?" he asked Dr. Brooks. She smiled, looking out over the planet that had prepared humanity for the stars. "They're learning. And that's the greatest lesson Earth ever taught us. There's always more to learn, always room to adapt, always another challenge to overcome." Above them, the stars beckoned, no longer as hunting grounds or battlefields, but as new crucibles waiting to test both species. Earth had taught its first children well. And now those lessons would echo throughout the galaxy, one adaptation at a time.